it's Meredith, and today I'm going to be talking about different topics having to do with energy. So first, I chose to talk to you guys about classifications of types of energy and whether they are potential or kinetic energy. Potential energy is the stored energy in any object or system by virtue of its position or arrangement of parts. It is not affected by the environment outside of the object, such as air or height. It's important to remember that potential energy is stationary and it has stored energy that's waiting to be released. So some examples of potential energy include mechanical, gravitational, elastic, chemical, and nuclear. In the next clip, I'm going to be showing you a few examples of these. On to kinetic energy. So kinetic energy it's different than potential energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of an object's motion or its particles in motion. Kinetic energy is released using movement, and it changes based on velocity, gravity, and other factors like that. Some examples of kinetic energy are similar to those of potential energy, and I will show you some examples of those in the next clip as well. But some of these include So as I mentioned, I'm going to be showing some examples of some types of potential and kinetic energy. And first, I chose to represent potential elastic energy. So I used a hair tie to show this example. And when I pull it like this is potential elastic energy. As you can see, this motion right there, that's not potential energy because it's being released, and it's being released by motion. However, this position right here, that is potential energy because there's so much energy built up in the elasticity of this band that it is just waiting to be released. Next, I'm going to show you an example of gravitational potential energy. So right now, I just have this lip gloss, a random object that I'm going to raise higher and higher and higher off the ground. As it becomes higher, the force of gravity also raises. So as I lift this object, there's a lot of gravitational potential energy. However, as I drop it, there is a lot of kinetic energy because motion is happening. However, when it is in this stage right here, it is potential, and when it's dropped, it is kinetic gravitational energy. In order to show you heat kinetic energy, I have lit this candle. So when heat is occurring, that means the particles are moving. So that's why it has to do with kinetic energy. So as this flame is lit, there are tons of particles moving around, there's lots of motion happening. So that's why that is heat kinetic energy. Okay, now you can stop. So that is sound kinetic energy. So as sound is being released, there is a lot of motion and movement happening with the particles in the air and your sound waves. So that's why that's kinetic energy. So that's all for my talk about potential versus kinetic energy. But I also wanted to mention other types of energy that are renewable and things like that, a completely different subject. So when most people think about energy, they think about fossil fuels, coal, crude oil, petroleum, and things like that. However, there are renewable and much greener energy sources that can be used. Some of these include wind power, hydroelectric power, and solar power. So wind power is used when there is wind in the environment already, and the wind moves wind turbines around, and by doing this, it produces kinetic energy. This is super renewable, but it also relies on external factors, so it's not as reliable as some other ones are. Solar power is used by the sun. When the sun reflects down on the earth, it creates lots of photons. Lots of photons are moving and stuff like that. This also produces kinetic energy, and it's very renewable. However, this is also not as reliable as other sources because it's not always sunny, and the output is not always as good as what we get from other sources. And the last one is hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power is power used from water. So we see this a lot being used in coastal cities and things like that, or even in lake cities. I know that at Lake Martin, a town that my family has always vacationed to, they use hydroelectric power to power the houses. Just by moving around this water, we see a lot of kinetic energy, again, through movement. And that is another really good one. So those are 3 just renewable energy sources that, you know, are really good alternatives for other things. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this video on energy, and it also related to all different types of energy, recapping a little bit, kinetic energy, potential energy, and then we looked at other renewable energy sources that might be better compared to their subparts. So yeah, thank you. I hope you enjoyed.